Chapter 6. Caden. I knew the minute Gray walked out of the shop that I might never see him again, and I wanted to kick myself in the ass for being such a dick. He'd come to tell me something, and I wouldn't take the time to listen. When Gray saw me embracing Bryan, I didn't realize how things looked, and I didn't know he was vulnerable, or I would never have taken this BS between me and Bryan that far. First of all, now I had to clear something up with Bryan. Bryan, can you come over here a minute? Sure, baby. I rolled my eyes. What the fuck? Some people you could never play around with, especially a cockhound like Bryan. Bryan, don't you ever call me baby again. But I thought you and I. That's what I wanted to tell you. You see that man climbing into that Range Rover? I pointed to Grayle in his car. He is the only man I will allow to call me baby. But I thought. I'm sorry if you thought you and I could have a thing going on. For the first time in your life, I am using you, instead of you using someone. Consider yourself used as a fake boyfriend. Have you heard that term? Probably not. You're not my boyfriend but my employee, and an unpaid one at that, but still my employee, and thank you for working here and helping out. I appreciate you. I walked up to Bryan and hugged him, and he understood. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, and clearly Bryan was hurt at first, maybe for the first time in his 30-some years. From what I'd heard from Lane about all the men Bryan had dumped, because of his travels and meeting men in the U.S. and abroad, he was the heartbreaker in relationships, but today he was getting a small taste of his own medicine. Sure, boss. Anything else I can do for you? If you need a fake husband, I'm willing to make a concession, even going on a honeymoon, and I'm not opposed to letting you have your way with me, he joked, and I rolled my eyes at him. I don't think that will be necessary. Don't you have something to do? We're having a grand opening in a week. Until then, can you go across to the college and place some flyers on cars and hand some of them out to the students, and then tack some on bulletin boards? I'm sure you'll meet some unsuspecting student who's looking for a bear. Sure. Anything for you, Caden. You don't know what a little work will do for a man who's lost everything. I reached into my pocket to hand him some money. He raised his hand and shook his head. I'm not broke. I stayed with Lane and Scott because I couldn't bring myself to go back to Chicago after I'd fucked up my relationship. I needed to be around my brother and his husband. Lane is a beautiful person, and you are too. Money isn't everything if you don't have the one you love. I'll work for you as long as you need me. I love this town. But you need money. I have more than enough. Have you heard of Never So Sweet? Isn't that a billion-dollar candy company? Yup, and I own it. I built it from the ground up. I'm going to buy Lane and Scott a new home, and I don't want them to know. I even invested in a few businesses in Nevermore. You know this is my hometown. I guessed I did know, but was too busy to think about anything. I was sure Lane must have said something about it, but I was too busy thinking about Gray. When I knew I was going to leave Chicago, I invested in this tattoo shop around from the college. The owner sold franchises to Wounded Inc. only if we'd agreed to hire wounded vets, and I bought one. Since Lane is busy here and I know nothing about tattoos except getting them, I hired a couple of vets to run the place. When I learn how to run the coffee and tea business, then if you let me, I'll be happy to be a partner just in case you need one. I'm tired of moving around. I could use a little more capital to pay off my father, and we can work out what percentage of the business you'll own if you can pay that loan. I don't need him worrying about whether I will make a go of this with his retirement savings. I think he gave me most of what he and my mother had saved over the years. We'll talk later. Lane is coming in now and he expects everything to be done. You're lucky to have him. And Bryan, who I was lucky to have, trotted off to take care of his assignments. He appeared so happy to be working. I knew how he felt because if I didn't have this shop to keep me busy, and from doing something stupid again, I'd be lost. I see you're standing around doing nothing, Lane said. Don't bust my balls, Lane, I own the place, I crowed. If you don't take care of some of these bills, you won't own it for long. He handed me a list of items he'd purchased. I glanced over them and saw coffee items I hadn't signed for. What's this? Special blend coffee and packaging. I thought you needed a blend of strong and mild coffee, and I named it Cade Loves Gray. You did what? Don't fuck with me, Cade. You know you love the idea, and I bet it's going to be a big seller with the college crowd. That means more revenue streams and more money to give me a raise. I did like the idea, and maybe that would let Grayle know that I still loved him and we could come together someday, because I had nothing but time, but I wanted to spend that time with him and not waste it on the next man. Since that was a great idea on Lane's part and a given, I concentrated on the next order of business. Why didn't you tell me Bryan was a billionaire? Because he didn't want anyone to know, and now he's told you. Are you going to fire him? Not on your life. We might become partners. He already bought a franchise. The tattoo shop around the corner. Oh yeah. Wounded Inked. I heard that the owner is coming to town to help launch it. It will be about a week after you open your place. Good timing. Looking at his poster, he's a fucking hot guy. Used to be a Marine. I love a man in a uniform. I suppose just any uniform will do. I asked, hinted at his love for Scott. Well, I do have a preferences, but never mind. What were you and Bryan talking about? And I hope it was this business, because I don't know if we'll be ready to open in a week. We will. I have confidence in you, Lane. I placed my hand on his shoulder, then walked around and made both of us a cup of tea. The coffee had me too jittery lately, and had me acting impulsively, or maybe that was just me. I handed a cup to Lane, who took his tea with milk English style, when he wasn't drinking coffee. We sat in one of the new sofas, relaxed with our tea, and took in our surroundings. The place looked perfect. Bryan had signs made, so no one had to guess where anything was. Lane had designed the seating areas where there were 3. One for coffee drinkers, tea drinkers, and one where both were welcomed. We could open now and not miss a beat. Taking a sip of tea, I said, I was telling Bryan that he was only a fake boyfriend, and I didn't mean anything when I kissed him in front of Grayle. Lane placed his tea on the table and turned to me. You didn't? I made a mistake, Lane. A fucking big one, getting Bryan involved. He's somewhat delicate at this time. You know his husband is divorcing him and taking half his assets, but he has plenty, and he knows how to make money, so not a problem with the money, but... Don't worry, Lane, Bryan understood, I assured him. The only thing Bryan understands is his next conquest. He's hanging around here because he smells dick. Young dick. Those young gay men who will come here won't be able to resist him with his good looks and money. His problem is he likes to take care of young men, a daddy of some sort. He pampers them and gives them things like cars and clothes. He even bought a few a house, and then his husband found out about it, and as they say, the shit hit the fan. And here he is staying with me and Scott, and soon he'll be gone again when he finds someone. But Bryan said that he is here to stay. Heaven help all of us, Lane said. I hope he was joking.